she must have had me on speakerphone with the client who happened to be her brother, and he starts screaming and yelling, right? Don't give me any of that crap. Um, I'll walk away from the deal right now and you can keep my deposit.
Welcome to a series of unfortunate real estate events, a podcast where we talk about real issues that come up from the time a property goes under contract to the time that it actually closes, and what other real estate professionals can learn from these experiences. This week, I'm joined by Joey McVety from My Good Agent, and we're going to walk through a closing that just didn't go to plan and talk about ultimately how it played out. So welcome, Joey. I'm going to start by asking you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Joey McVety. I'm a real estate agent with My Good Agent. I've been with them for a little over a year now. And prior to that, I was with William Ravis and I got my license in 2021.
So what made you get into real estate?
So, my I guess you would consider me to be a COVID realtor because during COVID, I was sitting home bored and I said, I always wanted to get my real estate license. So I signed up for the class and I took everything at home and got my license. But also, my business I've been in prior to real estate is bail bonds. And I've had my bail bonds license since 2000. So 26 years this year, and that business was slowly kind of going away due to law changes and different bail reform movements that they've been putting into place over the last, I'd say, like 10 to 15 years. So slowly but surely they're trying to phase out the bail bondsman, and the state is ultimately taking it all over. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to do something else to supplement that income, and I always was interested in real estate, so that's why I decided to do this.
Makes perfect sense, right? I'm guessing you're dealing with some of the same craziness, though. I don't think that's going to change from Bell's Bosman into real estate because you're still dealing with people, right?
Right. Well, yeah, people, I mean, I call this, and obviously everybody knows this is a people business, right? The difference is like with bail bonds, I'm dealing with people in like the worst time of their life, right? Either their child's in jail or they're in jail or whatever. Um, and now I'm dealing with them in one of the happiest times of their life when they're either buying their house or buying an investment property or even selling their house so they can move out of state or whatever. Um, the funny thing is, though, is I've had a lot of crossover uh, with real estate clients turning into, I mean, I'm sorry, bail bond clients turning into real estate clients. I think my very first deal when I got my license was a bail bonds client that knew me, that I had helped her bail out her kids over the years, and she trusted me, and she said, if I'm going to go through the process of buying a house, I already trust you, and I want to deal with you.
Well,
And
there
I've
you go.
got more than one bail bonds client, you know, call me for real estate help.
Well, it's being in the people business, right?
Right,
You need to
right.
know who your people are, and I think that's a great way to look at it. You're dealing with people at their worst with Bell's Bosman. You're dealing with people at the happiest time during their
Mhm.
home purchasing process. Although you deal with craziness either way, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Buying a house brings out the best and the worst in some people.
It definitely does, and everybody always says like, don't do business with family and friends, and I've always been like an advocate to say no, like your friends are the best people to deal with because they're gonna be understanding if you don't pick up your phone right away, or if you got to push off your appointment by 20 minutes because you're running late. No, they're the worst. They're the worst.
That's what I was just going to ask. How's that experience been?
Well,
Um,
it's interesting
yeah.
to say the least.
So one of the ways we met was I was hosting a seminar in
You
my
were
office,
correct.
and
Yes,
you had been wearing a T-shirt that had a Masonic emblem on it.
it was a polo shirt, but yes.
Yeah, you're wearing
And
a
you
polo
asked
shirt.
you asked me about the Masonic emblem, and I could kind of tell that you were a little bit more than curious. Like you were like, "Hey, what is that design there that you're wearing on your shirt?" When I told you, I kind of got the impression like right away that you were either thinking about becoming a Mason or you maybe just became a Mason. The um the emblem I was wearing is for the past master of a lodge emblem, and it's a little bit different than the normal Masonic square and compass. And I knew you didn't know what it was, but I knew you knew something about it. So we started talking afterwards, and instantly, you told me, "Hey, I just became a Mason," and
Yeah.
right away, you and I became fast friends.
Right.
Because we have that in common.
And that's a skill I think, or an advantage of any organization you're closely associated with. I think the Masonic association that we have and
Mhm.
that connection of being brothers
Right.
helps build our relationship and helps it so that when we're working with another brother, there's some instant trust between the three of us.
Instantly, yes.
Right. Now, I know you've had some experiences that haven't gone so smoothly, and unfortunately, the attorney was another Masonic brother, but we're not going to get into names. We're not going to get into more details. So nobody knows who it is.
No,
We're
no.
protecting the innocent here, um, or the guilty, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that deal. So, um,
So I had a deal. Funny thing is that the person who hired me to sell their home was also a Masonic brother, and he also is a bail bondsman that I have known. I knew him as a bail bondsman before I knew he was a Mason, right? So he calls me up and he says, I need to sell my mom's home, and we put it on the MLS and we started marketing it. And when we finally accepted a contract, I asked him, who are you planning on using for your real estate attorney? He goes, "Oh, I got this guy. He's a brother." So instantly I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, the three of us, we're all, so this is gonna go so smooth." So I thought, right? Um anyway, the contract that we accepted had a Hubbard clause attached to it. And for one reason or another, we extended it a few times, and the home sat on the market for a little while. And the couple that was selling it, they had gone through a divorce, and the son was the POA for the mom, and they weren't living there, right? So the ex-husband was the one that was supposed to be in charge of the bills, and he forgot to pay the gas bill for like 2 months, 3 months, and the gas ended up getting shut off. So they went for their final walkthrough, and I get a phone call frantic from the agent, like, "What's going on here? Why is it so cold?" And I had just been there like 2 days before because I was getting some things out of the house that I had left from when we did an open house, and the heat was working, right? So everything was fine. She's like, is the furnace broken? Is what's going on? And I said, well, hold on, let me find out. Let me call my customer and see what they say. Literally, like, she didn't give me 5 minutes. She's calling me back, and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, listen, I haven't gotten a hold of them yet, but like, I don't think there's anything to worry about. I was there a couple days ago. The heat was on. It was fine. I said, maybe the pilot light blew out. I don't know. Let me give me some time to figure this out. Well, we're
right.
not going to close, and goes on and on and on. And I said, not for nothing, but your client signed an as is waiver and waived inspections. So even like even if the furnace is broken, you waived your inspections and you signed the as is clause, right? Rider. She must have had me on speakerphone with the client who happened to be her brother, and he starts screaming and yelling, right? Don't give me any of that crap.
Yeah.
Um, I'll walk away from the deal right now, and you can keep my deposit. I said, well, listen, let's not jump to conclusions. Let me just figure out what's going on. Give me a few minutes, and I'll get back to you. So, lo and behold, the gas got turned off. We scheduled the appointment to have them come back the next day, turn the gas on, and it was on the next day, which was supposed to be the closing day. And they said, no, we're walking away from the deal, right? And then they wanted their deposit back. Now we had passed their Hubbard clause. Um, all anything that protected their deposit was expired.
Right.
My client's attorney basically told them, just move on and just find somebody else to buy the place. You'll find somebody else to buy the place, and did not want to fight for that deposit. Now, it wasn't a lot of money, so I told my client, like, "Listen, if you wanna fight for it, you absolutely can keep this, but your attorney has to be on board with this." And I believe
Right.
I spoke to you about it. Um,
Yeah,
and
I'm pretty sure we did.
can we somehow get you involved in this? And, you know, at the end of the day, the client was just like, "Listen, I don't wanna hold up the sale of the place. Let's get it back on the market and let's sell it. Let's just give them the money back." So,
Yeah.
okay, fine. It's only a few dollars. It wasn't like it was a lot of money. So, it's only like 2,500 bucks. So,
Right, but the sad part is that what it could have made a difference to your client, right? I
right.
mean, it's in the grand scheme, it's not a lot,
Would have
especially
paid the
because
gas bill.
yeah, you could have paid the gas bill.
Right.
Uh, but the worst part of that is that the buyer said, "I don't care. I'll walk away and lose my deposit." Right? It's funny how
Yeah,
the story changes then.
right. And then when I'm like, "Okay, well, you're walking away, but just know we're keeping your deposit." Then it was, "Well, we're not gonna sign the termination," you know, and I spoke with my broker, and he was like, "Well, unless they sign the termination, um, you're never gonna be able to sell it to somebody else." So,
Yeah,
I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe we could have, and then just had that money held in escrow or something, but the attorney did not want to be involved. And then, you know, um, moving on, because that attorney was a friend of the client, he talked about switching his attorney, but then he said, he was too deeply, like, this guy had already done so much, because there was like money that was owed to this one and that
yeah.
person, and he had it all already, and he didn't want to start over with somebody else. So, the good news is we just closed on it 2 days ago. So, now we're done with that.
Wasn't it supposed to close in, like, the fall, though?
Been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah,
I
right?
did my first open house in the summertime. So,
Okay, and like you said, that's the dangers of working with family, right, and friends.
right,
'Cause this guy was the agent's brother. She probably would not have pushed to to get the deposit back
right.
had it not been her brother.
And no offense to any real estate agents or realtors that have been in the business for a long time, but she felt like the need to remind me that she's been in the business since like 1979, I think she said, or 1970 something. I was born in 1976, so you know,
So
she's
she's been doing it longer than you've been
doing it
alive.
for pretty
She
much.
wanted to yeah.
Yeah,
She wanted to make that point. Yeah, no.
yeah.
The experience I've had is when anybody throws around how long they've been in a business or in an
Mhm.
industry, they're not really good.
Well, we do have the capability of looking up, people's production, and
Right.
I did, and I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm still new in the business, so I don't have, a ton of production myself, but somebody that's been in the business since
Well,
1970s I think should have had way more than that. So,
that's
whatever.
my
We're not, she was very nice other than this deal that we had. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Hang on one second. Okay. There you go. Um,
but that's been my experience too. Anytime somebody wants to throw around how long they've been in an industry or a business, they're not typically very good
right.
because if you're good at your job, you don't need to say, I've been doing this for 30 years. Your experience and
Will speak for itself.
your knowledge and your experience speaks for itself. Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
Right, and the way you conduct yourself, so, it's always fascinating to me. I get that too, right, from some attorneys that don't do a lot of real estate, but wanna come in and say, "Oh, yeah, I've been practicing law since before you were born," or realtors that do that, it's just
Mhm. It's the same thing in the bail bond business. I
yeah,
deal with attorneys there as well, but mostly criminal attorneys, and they want to tell me how the bail bond process goes, and I'm like, listen, like, I know what you saw when you looked it up online, but that's not what it actually is.
right,
Like, that's what it was. They're showing you what it was, not what it's going to be.
yeah,
Like, for new bond amounts and things like that. Um, So I said, I said to my client one time, I said, your attorney should stay in his lane and deal with your defense and let me deal with the bond stuff,
yeah,
you know?
and that's a key, I think, in our industry still too, right? There's a lot of mortgage brokers, realtors, attorneys that step out of their lane to try to do something that really
Okay.
they're not the expert in, they don't know have the knowledge in, and they typically, when they do that, it makes more of a mess.
Right. So
So, well, at least that story ended in a happy way,
right, right.
right? So if you had to say there was a lesson you learned out of that experience that somebody else could learn from to avoid it, what do you think?
Well, I would say, you know, for the second half of that deal, I wished that he had moved on to another attorney because it would have went a lot smoother. Especially, after speaking with you and you were willing to take it on, and I'm sure any other attorney would have taken it on. But you know, again, the whole stay in your lane thing, like that was his friend, and we can't tell you who to use anyway. We can just say, hey, I've used these
Right.
people before and they're great. Um, but I would say, don't automatically just use somebody because they're your friend or they're a fellow Mason or whatever, especially when like that other attorney was not solely a real estate attorney, right?
Yeah.
So he does everything. And I think
Yeah.
this was not as important to him to get involved with, let's say, as opposed to you, like you would have fought for that deposit, I believe.
Because that's all we do, right?
Right,
All we do is
right,
handle real estate closings. I'm not going to court. I'm not if I don't do help your clients, I'm not doing business, right?
right, for sure.
Um, so, but I think that's the key. You got to vet the people you're working with, and I don't think enough people do that, right?
Hmm.
Um, and that goes with anything, right? You got to vet the person you're working with because they may not know anything and pretend they do.
Right.
And who suffers? The client in the end.
Yeah. I mean, listen, like I said, I've only been doing this for what, about 5 years now. I don't know everything, but I have luckily the support of a great broker behind me and a lot of knowledgeable people in my brokerage. I mean, when I
Right.
joined my good agent, we only had about 30 people here in Connecticut. Now I believe we're like almost to 100.
Yeah.
So I believe we're probably the fastest growing brokerage in Connecticut. And we have some newer agents, and we have some agents that have been around for a long time, and it's very supportive. Here, where if I don't know something, I can just reach out and ask somebody. And and then I have guys like you. Hey, if I need a legal question answered, I call you.
Right. And that's the key. Knowing and having the team. I think the trend I've been seeing more and more lately is it's those that are doing well have a team around them
Uh-huh.
or have a team supporting them, however you want to word it. So, all right. So we talked about another deal you said that went a little bit sideways. Again, unfortunately, it was somebody that did not go with a recommendation and went with somebody that they thought would be able to be trusted, I guess is the way I would say it.
Which one are we
Maybe
talking
not trusted. The one we talked about earlier with the appraisal issue.
about? Oh, so no, so that one was you know, another brother. And I had been working with them for a long time, showing them houses all over the state. And we finally found one that they liked, and we got the offer accepted. It was a highest and best situation. The house was listed at 499.9, I believe, and we bid 517. We got accepted, and then the appraisal came back, and it didn't appraise. We did not have an appraisal gap. Kishore, did you freeze up? You look like, oh,
Nope,
okay.
nope. I got a message. So
Oh, okay. You
Yep.
look like your screen froze for a second there.
I got very still,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
I
so
thought I
anyway,
thought this.
so the house didn't appraise. We didn't have an appraisal gap. My clients pretty much didn't have any more money. They were already pretty much to the top of their budget to pay the extra money out of their pockets. And the mortgage company's not going to loan you more money than the house is worth. And the seller didn't want to budge. They just they just didn't want to budge. I think we were able to offer them a couple more thousand, to try to bridge the gap a little bit. Um, and the seller basically was like, "Nope, you offered 517, and that's what I want." Oh, especially if you want to get paid and you want to make your commission, basically try to put it back on me, like, "Well, don't take a commission," and
Yeah,
like. bridge the gap that way. And I'm like, well, nobody likes to work for free. And I already took less of a commission on this deal just to make the deal happen. So, you know, anyway, we ended up terminating that deal. And, the clients told me they were going to take a little break. They wanted to save up a little bit more money. And, I stayed in touch with them a little, not every day, but, every couple weeks I would reach out. And then, come to find out, I was told that they were decided to look in another state, because one of them worked in New York. So I assumed New York, right? And Cody, my broker, is licensed in New York. So I said, "Oh, well, is it New York? Because we can help you still. I'll refer you to." They were like, "Oh, well, we didn't know that, and we're kind of already working with somebody." Okay. Then a month or so down the road, I find out through the grapevine that that wasn't true, and that they bought a house in the same town where the house was that the deal fell apart. And it wasn't the same house, but they did buy a house and they used somebody else, like, and so just the lesson I learned with that is like, just because somebody is like your friend or like, you know, I must have been the bad guy, right? Like that, I was the blame for that deal falling apart, apparently, because I'm the one who delivered the bad news.
Yeah, unfortunately, that happens.
Yeah, yeah, and like, am I gonna say anything to him? No, I'll just move on, and I've seen that person since, and we've said hello, and nothing. You know, it's interesting though, like, because somebody you think that wouldn't do that, they do it. So be careful.
Uh, Out out of curiosity, did you ever look up what the house sold for that they had put their offer in?
The
F
the original house,
Yeah.
yeah, 517.
So somebody bought it then for what
Somebody
they want.
bought it, not
Yeah.
them, not them. Um, and the person who bought it, the listing agent, the buyer's agent was on the listing agent's team.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know, like, did they pay an appraisal gap or anything like that? The house appraised for 500. So,
Yeah, I mean, I highly doubt that the appraisal is gonna change by the 17 grand.
a couple months later,
Yeah,
you know,
it's not very likely,
right.
but
Yeah.
so I think we got a few good nuggets out of you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You gotta really I think one of the lessons we didn't talk about is really vetting people, but it's also working with friends and family is not fun,
It's definitely
right?
not fun. You know,
Um,
I mean, listen, it is fun in the beginning, but if something goes wrong, it's gonna be worse because you're friends, or you're a family member. You know, I love
'cause
helping my
that's
friends or people that I'm acquainted with through through my other business or whatever. But I just always have to remember, like, hey, as soon as there's a hiccup, you're the fall guy.
right. Yeah, that's
So
not a fun place to be either.
no, no. And then when you see them out places, it's like, are they
Now
mad?
it's awkward.
You know what I mean? Like, but for anybody that knows me, knows, like, I don't really care if they're mad at me or
No.
not. Like, people get mad, they'll get over it,
Yeah.
or they won't.
And it's just a little bit of a lesson just because you think you know somebody from an organization or a different event or
Mhm.
business doesn't mean that they're always the most trustworthy, right? So you do have to really vet. You really do have to vet who you work with.
I mean, I don't know if I would say they weren't the most trustworthy, but I would say that they're not going to just be 100% loyal to you just because you're connected to them in another way.
That's a better answer. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll agree with
It's
that.
like, I'm not saying that, the person themselves is, I'm sure, very trustworthy, as far as, you know, regular everyday life, but in a business aspect, like, they don't owe me anything,
Right.
even though,
No,
like,
I was thinking more about the attorneys you worked with that just didn't fight for their
oh,
clients.
yeah, yeah, but,
Mhm.
like, I don't even know that guy, I met him over the
Yeah.
phone one time. He liked to the first conversation we had, he made tried to make the connection to me, because of the whole Masonic thing, and I was like, "Oh, cool," like, but we've never met in person. Like, when I
Okay.
met you, it was an instant friendship. We
Yeah.
phone numbers. We start. I visited you at your lodge. You visited me at my lodge. You've come to my events that I throw. This guy, he doesn't answer the phone when I call him, and he doesn't respond to my text messages.
Yeah.
Then I send an email, and then like his paralegal responds. So it's definitely a different interaction with
Yeah.
him than I had with you. So yes, we have that connection, and
Right.
like I don't know, you haven't been a Mason as long as I have, but I've traveled all over the country, and I've gone to San Antonio, Texas, and been picked up at the airport by Masons that I've never met, because of the connection of that
Right.
we're both Masons. We've met online on Facebook, or through the link of like, hey, this guy's gonna come visit, and they've reached out and, hey, do you need a ride from the airport? Thank you. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So
So I don't know
I
how
mean, I
much
appreciate
traveling
that.
you've done out of state, but you know,
Not to that level. I mean, I've visited Masonic lodges outside of the state,
yeah,
right? And it was definitely an experience, right? I visited down in DC and I met some pretty cool people because
yeah,
it's DC, so you have some pretty there's some
hmm
politicians there, and it was
right.
fascinating.
I never been to lodge in DC, but I've been down there, and I was at a cigar lounge, and the guy who was sitting across from me happened to notice my ring
Yeah,
and struck up a conversation with me. Turns out he's a brother from down there, and now we're friends on Facebook. We talk every once in a while.
yeah,
Um, you know, but yeah, man, I've been to I've been to lodges all over the United States, and it's never been a negative experience.
right. And that helps in our businesses, right? Because now when you're dealing with someone that is familiar with the Masonic lodges or is a Masonic brother, there's a little bit of a comfort with us,
Right,
right?
right.
Because we expect each other to hold each other, and we expect ourselves to hold
Yeah,
ourselves to a certain standard.
exactly. Not that we're looking to benefit from each other because we're both Masons, but
Right.
I know that if you're giving me your word on something, 99% of the time that your word is going to be good.
Right.
Listen, not everybody's perfect, but I know that, the type of person and the type of character you have because of the things that you're involved with.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. So perfect. Well,
yeah,
I'm going to thank you for having you today, taking their time out of your day to meet with me and kind of go
sure.
through these experiences. And if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you?
So the best way to reach me is my cell phone, area code 203-627-7262. You can follow me on Facebook. I have my regular page, Joey McVety. I have a real estate page. It's Joey McVety, licensed real estate agent. I did have Joey McVety, realtor. Facebook won't let me change that. And since we're no longer affiliated with NAR, I had to create a new page. On Instagram, I'm at Joey Sells CT. So I'd appreciate any follows, and
Yeah.
especially from other agents. I love to network with other agents and other realtors. I mean, excuse me, other attorneys, and anybody that's in the business.
Perfect. So if anyone's looking to buy, sell, or just network with anyone,
hmm Give me a
be
call.
sure to reach out to Joey. He's giving you a bunch of different ways to reach him. At worst case, you could send some smoke signals. I'm sure he'll figure out how to find you.
Call Kishore. He has my number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you for being a guest today. And
Thanks, Kishore.
we look forward to working together
Yes, sir.
again soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.